morning again on America's Web.
Hey, back to Atlanta again. I drove all the way from Mobile last night to Blick and to Auburn, and stay there for the night. Normally, I did it for the last 4 weeks, and then in the morning, early in the morning, I fresh and drove all the way over here. With all the rain, it's beautiful. It's enjoy the rain. Anyhow, and so we're gonna continue again to talk about meditation. That's what I came here for. Is to talk about meditation. Who does meditation? What meditation do to us? What each person does meditation? How they really benefit. And we talk about the Bruce Lee did meditation, driving into his deeper consciousness, that creativity, that invention of the mixed martial arts, and that unsatisfied with the old tradition, with the dogma, with the indoctrination, with that old way of forms, and he began to see the formless. Everything comes from formless. When you put the form and you're stuck with the form, and then you're stuck with the dead thing. So you have to break the form and reinvent a lot of things. So that's what he did. Today's mixed martial arts all came from his idea of that invention, and he wrote everything on that book, and of the Jigong Do of Tao, the Tao of Jigong Do. So that's the product of his meditation, and that's what I see. And then we go again, come to all the scientists. I'm going to talk in a few minutes, and how they get into the meditation, and that's including Max Planck, the Nobel Prize winner, also the most probably famous and quantum physicist 100 years ago. And not because Albert Einstein, he was Albert Einstein's mentor, but he was the guy of quantum physics, the father of quantum physics. He accidentally stepped into the realm of quantum physics while he was doing the classic physics. And then here comes the guy with no experience, with no academic degree, with no academic fame. I put him on the top of the line in most famous physics magazine, because at the time Max Planck was the father of quantum physics, the magazine, the chairman of the magazine, the #1 magazine in the world for classic physics. And then of course he come along with Niels Bohr and Edwin Schrödinger, and with John Bell, with my beloved friend David Bohm. I just talked to Dave about all these people got into the meditation. What they got into is to try to see the truth of humanity, the truth of the universe, truth of matters, and what are they? And then eventually they found matters are not really matter. Physics is not really physical. And we're going to talk a little bit more later after we do this meditation. Okay, let's do a little bit of sitting and breathing and meditate, to look into ourselves, to calm ourselves down. Deep Pay attention to your breath. From nose to your chest. All the way to your diaphragm. Feel and see with your mind's eye. The air penetrates into, down through the lower diaphragm, below the lung. See the air becomes energy. Penetrate, permeate into your organ, into your brain cell, into the neuron, synapses. Make sure your tail, the tip of your tail, is connected to the up hard palate. Okay, the simple breathing, what we did is kind of like a very beginning. And I hope that it leads you to see the inner self, to observe yourself, to see the calm part of yourself, to see the inner peace of yourself, to see the inner energy of yourself. To connect, to tap into that internal intelligence. Bruce Lee did, Max Planck did, Albert Einstein did, Neil Bohr did, John Bell did, John Hackland did, David Bohm did, Jesus Christ did, and Gautama did, Huinan did, so many of others, Indian Gandhi did. All these people, they're either giants in quantum physics, or just simply Newton. He was meditating under the tree, and something come up, an apple fall. Because why the apple other times? Because the apple fall many times, he didn't see anything. But that moment when he meditate, and then the apple instigated that idea, that intuition. Because of the meditation, that apple, that deep state of mind connected together. And then the gravitation comes about. And then, of course, at the time that theory was incomplete, as he said himself, was incomplete. But that theory lasted, that classical theory of physics lasted for 300 years and over, until Max Planck, Albert Einstein, Neil Bohr come along. But that is already over 100 years old. But still today, we still, based on these people, this is all about meditation. This meditation, including probably famous person, that is Nikola Tesla. And he meditated hundreds and hundreds of patterns, all out of his mind meditation, all out of his organization, all out of that communication with his, what he said is from God, from the universe, from the supreme consciousness, because everything is there. But you, me, each of us make that connection. That connection to realize whatever you're pondering, whatever you're materializing, whatever manifestation of that materialization of visible forms. That's all came from the meditation. There's not a single scientist I met do not do meditation. I never met anyone. I know probably about 20 quantum physicists and other scientists, medical scientists, neuroscientists, epigenetic scientists. They all do meditation. Robert, one of my friends from Duke University, he said, I have to shut myself in the dark room for at least 2-3 days to just meditate. If I have some tackle, something that is too tough to think in the labs or discuss with people, I've got to shut myself inside. Same thing with the group of scientists who work with Henry Ford. This is true story. When Henry Ford wanted to design this 8-cylinder car, people said, you got to be crazy. How can you design an 8-cylinder car? People use 2 cylinders, 4 cylinders. These are 8 cylinders. You got to be crazy. There's no such thing. You can do it. There's no scientific thing to back up that claim. There's no technology back up the claim. I don't care. You guys figure out. You say, well, I dreamed of it. I meditated on it. He was meditating on this thing, and he see it's going to happen. People say, that's crazy. That's kind of daydreaming. You cannot do that to us. It's not going to happen. This group of technologists, engineers, scientists, they're together. It's not going to happen. I say, you daydreaming. I say, well, if I meditate on it, I believe it's going to happen. It is going to happen. He insisted. You guys find it. I don't care. He said, well, you don't understand the engineer. You don't understand the science. You don't understand this. I don't care. I don't understand. I understand my deep concept in my mind. I visualize something. It's going to happen. It's going to happen. And the people thought it was because all these scientists, all these mechanics, all these engineers, because they think from the standpoint of the material. They stand from the mechanical. They think from the point of these material things. If it is not visible, it's not going to happen. If there's no design, it's not going to happen. You say, you design, there's nothing we can design. There's no such technology. There's no such thing. You cannot do this 8 cylinder. So I'll give you 1 year, 10 months on the road. He said, what, have you got anything come out? No! 10 months already on the road. We thought of everything. We did everything we could. We just can't. It's not possible. We have 2 months. Go ahead, do it. You have 2 months, you go ahead, do it. People thought he was crazy. And 11 months on the road. And then they come to his office. So we got it. So I told you we got it. So things is not going to happen, but things is evolving. Things are evolving, Technology evolving, thinking evolving, everything is evolving. And we think of from other cross science, cross, language, cross, and engineer. And then they came from other part of the airspace science, from other space science, other science. They got up, it's going to work. So they redesigned it, and then before the 12 months up, they got it. And then, the rest is history. That's all came up from that meditation. Simple meditation. Something as Max Planck. Max Planck, when he stumbled into quantum physics, and everybody understand his formula, and for that time, and from the mathematical point of view, and he just he didn't even believe it could happen, because according to that formula he developed, and he began to see nothing is physical. When you get deeper into the physics world, nothing is physical. So when he awarded with the Nobel Prize, this is what he said. I'm a very serious, my paragraph, okay, very serious scientist. I'm a very serious physicist. But I devote all my life into physics, but I don't see anything physical. Behind the physical, there's a force. There's a spiritual force behind the physical things. Drive everything. Drive all the potential. That potential makes everything possible. That possibility makes everything possible. The physical things is the end manifestation of all the possibilities, all the potentialities or the invisible force. It has nothing to do with the physics. It has nothing with the physical thing. Matters. So, and when Einstein came along, and he was not recognized by anybody. He couldn't even get a job in the lab as a lab assistant. And he was thinking of maybe sell this encyclopedia book, just a door-to-door sale, to be a salesman. Of course, I don't think he's a good salesman. He thought of it. His father was very upset. But eventually, because he could not get a job, his father thought he was an idiot. He was daydreaming. He was meditating, daydreaming. But when he's daydreaming, when he's meditating, and he's thinking something totally different from his teacher, from everybody else. Way beyond everybody else. That's why nobody recognized him. And he got a job from one of his friends, introduced him to this patent office, become the secretary, sort of like a clerk. And he has all kinds of, because not many people invent all kinds of things. He has plenty of time to meditate, to daydream, to meditate to the sky, to meditate on his own, and without any people to bother him. He come up with this idea, which is special relativity. And he published this special relativity because Max Planck was the chief of the magazine, chief editor of the magazine. And accidentally, some people, didn't really recognize this at all, And he come across this paper, and he decided to publish it because he didn't understand the whole thing. But he sees something quality inside the formula, inside this article. And then he published it. People thought he was crazy. Publish these things, just nobody understood. Nobody in physics world, in all the scientists' world of physics, nobody understood. And then he became, very controversial person. But along the way, he began to realize that special relativity is not a complete. Because the formula, there's some error in it. Because that's what a science is about. When you meditate, you're willing to overturn yourself. You're willing to rid of yourself. You're really willing to smash your own tradition. You smash your own formula, smash your own idea, smash your own belief, smash your own thoughts. Just break it. He was willing to. It got to be something, what he thought, something error, what he did. Even he published. He had to. So eventually, he went beyond Newton. And they say, Newton, I'm sorry, you're my superhero, but I have to get over you, beyond you. So he redid the formula, but he could not, because his math was not good enough. Let's continue talk after this.
In a 71 Oldsmobile Vista Cruiser, you need to tune in to Classic Cars with Steve Ronaldo and Jim Weber every Saturday from 8 to 9 a.m. on americaswebradio.com.
If your health insurance premium is more than your mortgage, Ellen Deal with Ideal Solutions is here to help. Whether you're a small business owner, individual family, or baby boomer, email MAGA45CAG@gmail.com and I'll respond with 3 easy questions to help you determine if you can get away from Obamacare. As a 20-year veteran of the insurance industry, I'm here to help with all your insurance needs. Email Ellen Deal at MAGA45CAG@gmail.com.
Hello, I'm Dr. Mike Karuchak. Have you ever wondered what doctors talk about amongst themselves? If you do, join us on the Doctor's Lounge and hear the doctors' conversations amongst themselves. Join me and my co-host, Dr. Hal Schertz, every Thursday morning, 8 to 9 a.m.
You're listening to America's Web Radio on the AmericasBroadcastNetwork.com. Thank you for listening.
Okay, let's continue Albert Einstein. When he could not find anything, he meditate. You know, all this is consciousness, the conscious, we call expansion, conscious expansion, but other people also meditate. And in different ways. What is meditation? Meditating is about pondering. Meditation is about getting into the consciousness. Meditation is about get into the reflection of your inner consciousness. Meditation is about get your deep thinking, deep level, not get out of the superficial thoughts, get out of the superficial thinking, get out of the superficial signals, get out of the superficial material things. Get into deep pondering. That's what it is. So he was invited to speak at one of the universities in Germany. Of course, at that time he was in Germany and Bonn, I think. And during the meeting, this consciousness meditation that signals send it over to this mathematician, the most famous mathematician during his time, sitting at the audience, at the back of his audience. As he calculate, as he begin to ponder, and on the board, and the guy in the audience also pondering, and then that mind, that consciousness begin to connect. After that conference, after that meeting, the guy went home, began to calculate according to Einstein's formula. And Einstein got the signals from that mathematician at the back of the audience, began to calculate. So they began to chase each other with the mind, with that meditative mind. Eventually, both of them come up with a final formula, the mathematical formula, which is general relativity formula. And that guy published the math formula. And then also Einstein also published. But of course, and he gave up to Einstein because Einstein, he was based on Einstein, and he believed Einstein, should be the person and get the credit because everything's based on his. But without that mathematician, Einstein wouldn't be able to calculate. That's called inner communication, just like we just said, inner communication. But both have to get into the same channel because that vibration of the conscious energy frequency wave has to be synchronized. The frequency got to be in a similar channel. So both of them drive into the channel and both of them supported each other and then they connect. Because the formula, math formula is always there. Math formula is the ultimate truth because it never changes. It doesn't matter you discover or you non-discover, always there in the universe. That's the truth of the universe. That's the math. So, and both of them discovered that formula. And then the general relativity was published. But even the general relativity was published, and nobody even understood at all at that time. Very, very few people understand. Even today, it's a lot of people, get so confused. That's when the gravitational waves and over that idea of Newton gravitation. So gravitation is no longer the Earth gravitation, it's the universal gravitation. The fabric of the universe, the fabric of the intelligence, the fabric of the consciousness, the fabric of the universal energy, they're all interconnected. That interconnectivity drives everything. That is the conscious intelligence. From Einstein, and then you see at that time the physics meeting, and then they have few very, very famous people, Edwin Schrödinger, and then Niels Bohr, and a couple of others begin to work on future physics. That was the beginning of quantum physics. Niels Bohr began to use also meditation on what? On I Ching. What is I Ching? I Ching is a Chinese philosophy. It's a Taoist philosophy. I use that I Ching symbol, yin and yang. Have you heard of yin and yang, David? Yin and yang. Have you heard of yin and yang? Yin and yang. You never heard of yin and yang? The two symbols? Yeah, okay. Yin and yang. Yin and yang. Yeah, yin and yang. That's Tai Chi. That's Tai Chi symbol. And Tai Chi is designed by the I Ching. The yin and yang and the Bagua, that is the 8 diagram, and then digits, and 1 2 1 2 1 2 2 2 4 4 6 and 4 4 8 and 16, and then all these numbers, and that's the beginning of today's computer science. They all came from that meditation. And then you have 1 3 6 9 and go up. That is the number also borrowed by Nicholas Tesla from that meditation route to design a lot of today's, a lot of things you use today, thousands of things you use today, is from Tesla, from that meditation. So we can see that meditation create a lot of today's science, today's technology. That meditation is so powerful because when you connect with the universe, you unveil the secret of the universe, unveil the information of the universe, unveil that intelligence of the universe. So Niels Bohr used that yin and yang theory. He meditated on it. He see how that theory designed by the traditional meditation from China, how they meditate on it, and then he tried to simplify, try to mimic, try to see from his view, from his science mind, and the connection with the universe, connection with the intelligence, connect with the purest exploration consciousness mind, to see what is reality, what is the actuality, what is the truth of the universe, what is the potentiality of the universe, what is the real consciousness in connection with each of us. And then we see that consciousness, and we see that double slits shooting that photons, and we see that consciousness, how our observation influence that photons. How that energy waves becomes matter. Matter becomes a particle. particle becomes waves. Wave particle existing at the same time. If yin-yang exists, that means yin is the wave, yang is the particle. Yin-yang exists at the same time, at all times, according to old I Ching. Say, they must figure out from their meditation, and this must exist at the same time. So from that, he tried to use the mathematical formula to prove it. But Albert Einstein says it's not possible, because the wave particle cannot exist at the same time. You're either particle or a wave. It's not possible. But he believed it is possible. If it is the ancient Chinese can meditate on it and discover it is true, it got to be there's some other way. We need to overthrow that matter mind. We need to overthrow that physical mind. We overthrow all the traditional destined, determined physics mind. Anything can be possible. So we have to get out of that determined, everything's determined, the physical mind, to break that glass, to break that box, to break that frame of thinking. So you've got to meditate beyond that thoughts. And he was arguing with Einstein for almost 100 years. But what I say, the two parties, of course, even they died, they passed away, the two group of people still argued for 100 years. Eventually, Niels Bohr was right. Particle, waves exist at the same time. Exactly the same time. Only the particle, you don't see it. But waves, particle exist at the same time. It is the consciousness, it's the observation makes it possible. Which is which? Either particle or waves. So that conscious mind, that meditation can influence everything. You know, we have people from MIT, from University of Phoenix, from Oxford University, the different universities, Harvard University, a lot of people did a lot of research on the consciousness, on the meditation, how that influence the outcome of physics, how that influence outcome of either particle or waves, the manifestation of a certain form of matter and determined by what? By the conscious mind. Because from that perspective, from that meditation, we begin to see this world is not physical. This world is not really believed. Atoms, matters, you know. Within an atom, there's an electron, proton, nuclei. But beyond that, even the nuclei is the most solid thing in that atom. In and out. Can be wave, can be particle. In and out without determined. That means that whole atom, we thought it was a bubble, we thought it was a matter. No, it's empty. There's nothing in it. That means we are living in an illusional world. It is a holographic world we're living in. And today, a lot of neuroscientists, a lot of quantum physics, and begin to mingle together, begin to see our body, our mind, our physical being. It's all illusion. It's all simulation. Sort of like the interface of the computer. You see a blue, you see a red, you see a, different icons. Our physical world is sort of like icons. They're not true matters. No matter are the truth. The truth is hidden within. The truth is hide behind. The truth is hidden into the potentiality. The truth is hidden in the formless, invisible possibilities, into that inner consciousness, in connection with the universal consciousness. That projects everything. What do we see? The matter. What do we see? The physical. What do we see? The forms. What do we see? The physical. At the end manifestation of the potentiality, the end manifestation of the potential possibilities, and the manifestation of the consciousness of the universe. So, what do we see? The old days we think all these matters, all these things are real. No, they are not real. They are all visible reality, come from the real. The real of the actuality and come from the potentiality. The potentiality come from the inner potentiality, consciousness, from that energy waves. When all that energy frequency of the possibility come together in influence by the consciousness, and everything will be manifested. That means that's why people see you will create what you think, because that energy wave will create everything that manifested from that possibility of that thinking. That thinking make it so because the consistent, persistent conscious direction will drive that thinking mind. That thinking mind will create that brain waves. That waves, that consciousness will influence the waves of matter, the waves, the energy, and produce the end result becomes visible forms, becomes what we see, that reality. What do we see right in front of us? What do we see? A cell phone. What do we see? A spaceship. What do we see? A quantum computer. What do we see? A cell phone. But all that, still the manifestation of that energy wave, manifestation of that quantum field, manifestation of the possibilities, manifestation of the potentiality. So Dave, and what I see, for example, this a station, for example. This station where we are, it is what we have produced from the past. Our thoughts make this station as it is today. If we want to change the station, we must totally change the way of thinking. Change the total consciousness. You have to break down all the old way of thinking, old way of advertisement, old way of totally transform that consciousness, totally transform that energy, totally transform that way of things happening. That means you have to give up old thoughts, give up old frame of thinking, give up old frame of doing things. Come up with something new. Something new, you have to stick with it. Your mind, your consciousness, your total attention must be in it. That's why last time we talked about, if you want this station to be the station of this land, the station of this earth, the station of the large community, the station drives into everybody's consciousness, everybody's thinking mind. The redesign in the mind, the redesign of the direction, repositioning, everything has to be replanned. That's what it is. So everything, this is not from nowhere. This is from Gautama, from Jesus Christ, from Max Planck, from Albert Einstein, from Niels Bohr, from all these people, from science, from spirit, from everything. They manifested for the last thousands of years. Only we stuck ourselves in the little tiny space, little tiny, a few bucks, a few grabbles, a few medals, a few the images. So we stuck it with the images. We stuck with our thoughts. We stuck with our frames. We stuck with the dogmas. We stuck with our, that box of thinking. That's the problem. It is time for during this century, during this pandemic period, during this chaos, during these quarrels, during this crisis, it is time for us to see a little bit more internally, to see a little bit peace inside. When you have the peace, you begin to organize. When you have the peace, you begin to create. When you have the peace, you begin to think otherwise, not bombarded by all these outside signals, outside chaos, outside of this dilemma, or outside of the messy world. All this pollution, sound pollution, mind pollution, thinking pollution, matter pollution, and air pollution, all kinds of pollution, all kinds of spams, all kinds of junk, virus to cloud our mind, to cloud our body, to clean up ourselves. That's the only way. That's the only way. To create a total different inner self, to create a total different outer surface too, from the inner being to the outer being. Because the most people focus so much on the outer being. Okay, you sell this, you get a little more, I get a little bit more. Sort of like people in a prison quarrel about the space of the prison. Get out of the prison. Until then, you cannot create. You cannot create. There's no creativity because you're stuck.
DeRu.
Yes.
What do you think would happen if you could get in front of one of the crowds that's protesting or the crowd of terrorists and I don't want to say make them, but if they would stop and meditate, would it turn it all around?
Meditation is, you've got to get it into the right mindset, right circumstances, right mood, right air. And yes, if you have a group of people have into the right mind, and people, it can happen. It is happening. I see it around the country. It's a lot of happening, a lot of good happenings. And you do have, if you think of people, for example, the protesters, if you think protesters as terrorists, and it's going to be totally, because it's a conflict thinking. If you think these people as human beings, majority of them are really good human beings. 99% of the good human beings. But you do have some people who have, other thinking. But all these people, good, all these demonstrators, if we turn them around, if we get them thinking into the right mind, yeah, the peace will happen. Peace will happen. And it happens everywhere. It happens. It all depends how we regard them. If we regard them as enemy, if we regard them as terrorists, if we regard them as robbers, yes, we're going to get the results as such. If we regard them as human beings, they can be compassionate, they can be loving, they can be peaceful, they can be, and then we can turn things around. Yes, we can. That's what I see. Yeah. Let me give you an example. John Hackman probably will tell you more. And John Hackman is quantum physics. A good friend of mine. He came to do a meditation with me 2 years ago at a meditation conference. He came, and he's a quantum physicist, and he's one of the unified field designer, and for quantum physics, quantum physics. Graduate from Harvard, worked for the CERN, worked for Stanford for many years, and a group of people in Washington D.C. They did a 2,000 people meditation during that 3 days. During that 3 days, Washington D.C. has 75%. This is 75% less crimes than Europe any 3 days. 75% crimes happen in Washington D.C. For that 3 days, people meditate. You can see the influence. Also during the 3 days, Middle East fight stopped. That means how much influence that 1,000 people meditate. If you get enough people meditate, oh yeah, absolutely. You can turn a lot of things into peaceful. Because it is that quantum field, it is that conscious mind influence the universe, influence our inner universe. Absolutely. Yeah, we have tested many times. Harvard University was involved, and MIT was involved, and the National Health Department was involved. Yeah. So this is scientifically, and so that's why meditation become in the scientific field begin to accept, the military begin to do a meditation, and when the Navy SEAL begin to introduce meditation into Navy SEALs, and they have much less people quit, because the Navy SEALs, they go through the Navy SEALs very, very tough. They have 20 to 35% less people quit, because they become calmer. They have less anxious, less rushing, rush, less anxiety produced. They become calmer. This is testing a lot of military. You see in many military research. We see a lot of those. Okay. How many minutes we have left? Oh, 0. Okay, sorry. Okay. I talked too much. I should have let you break a little bit. I haven't finished anyway. Anyhow, absolutely. Meditation has a lot of, Carl Jung, many years ago, Carl Jung began to, one of the first person use meditation in psychology and help people. And all these things, it has been doing it for last 50 years, 100 years, yeah.
We'll be back next week with DeRu and more meditations, and we'll bring up some other topics as well, I think.
Yeah.
With that?
Yeah, some people did ask me some questions when I on the Facebook. They listen to the radio, and I'm going to address the next time. Okay. Yeah. Because I sent something to the Facebook. Some people ask me some questions. I'll address it next time.
You're listening to America's Web Radio on the America's Broadcast Network.